welcome back to CP Mom and Daughter, where we talk about all things related to disability and specifically cerebral palsy. And yeah, I'm just glad you're here. So today I want to talk about accessibility in the Philippines, mainly related to those that use wheelchairs, walkers, things that have wheels and they're just not able to run from here and there. Because I misspoke. I was on a Zoom call and somebody was asking about the accessibility, and for some reason I had it in my head that we've always lived in an apartment that wasn't accessible. That is not the case. The first apartment we lived in, not accessible. All the bedrooms, the CR is what we call it here, the bathroom, that was upstairs. It was really super steep stairs with they were deep and steep, and it was really even hard for me. And I walk, I don't use a cane, I don't use a walker, I don't use a wheelchair. There was many times when it would hit my shin and I would fall, and it was just challenging. So that was not good. We lived there for 6 months. I was like, I can't do this. And then, so we moved. The apartment we moved into, that was accessible. It was on, if I remember right, it was on the bottom floor. So we didn't have to deal with stairs to get into it. Now, each apartment usually has a little bit of a lip, so there's a little bit of a step up. So if you have a wheelchair or a walker or whatever, you're gonna have to tilt it to get in, but that one wasn't bad. And then, so we lived in a couple of different apartments in that area, and they wasn't bad accessibility wise. It was bad safety wise because we ended up getting robbed. So then we moved, and the house we moved into was pretty accessible too. It didn't have stairs, again, just little lips from one level to the next. So those were accessible, but I would definitely say that's the exception, because one, I feel like so many people want the apartment that's just on the bottom floor, and two, to find an apartment that has enough space where it's got all the bedrooms and everything just on one floor is rare. And then houses that are just one floor, a lot of times are more expensive as well. So our first few years we were very, very blessed with not having stairs. And then we moved to our current apartment, and all the bedrooms are upstairs. The main CR that we use, or the main restroom we use, is upstairs. Yeah. Our living room space, kitchen, dining room space, that's downstairs. But the funny thing is, it's now that we're at this apartment that the Lord has called us to take in our foster daughter, who is a full-time wheelchair user, and we have stairs. So I guess this is all to say, not everything in the Philippines, or specifically where we are in Davao, not everything is inaccessible, but there's a lot of it that is challenging. Even at the school we teach at, there's stairs to come up the main way. If you go around to enter the school, then you can use the ramp. There's stairs to go to the upper part of the high school. Once you're in the elementary and middle school area, it's pretty flat. There are little lips, just that much or whatever, that you have to go up to get into the classrooms. Another thing that makes accessibility challenging in Davao, specifically, and I've seen it in other places in the Philippines, are the accessible bathrooms are normally locked up. And for the non-accessible bathrooms, they're not wide. Like, they're as skinny as they can make them because they want to fit, you know, in as much as they possibly can. And then you go to stores and the aisleways are normally pretty skinny, but if there is any space, they make sure and fill that space with products. So then you have that to go around as well, which can be a little extra challenging. But with all that being said, the people here are so kind and so willing to be helpful most of the time. You know, I've had people help me lift my daughter's wheelchair. I've had people help me put it in taxis. I've had, you know, anyways, people have been super helpful. The other thing is, sidewalks here are not very good for walking. A lot of times there's poles or trees or something in the middle of it, and then you get to the end of the sidewalk and there's not a ramp. So when we walk outside, it's in the road. We do try to stay to the side, but it's in the road, and then they have a weird drain system, and that just scares me to even try to get a wheelchair to go over. So then we go around it. And then you run into like the gravel and things, and that's hard to drive the wheelchair on. And then there's many options for hospitals, but there's definitely one that we're more familiar with and we like to go to. We've only parked in the parking garage once, and now I fully understand why. And the reason is, if you park your car yourself, the only way to get up into the hospital is with stairs. There's no elevator, there's no ramp, there's no nothing. And so normally when you go to the hospital, they're like valet parking. If we have to do that again, we will take them up on that, because otherwise you're carrying a wheelchair plus a child up the stairs. And that's not fun. And that's the thing with a lot of these places. A lot of the churches don't have ramps, or, you know, they might have elevators, but a lot of times the kids program is upstairs, and so you're relying on the elevator to be working. A lot of even the therapy places, like occupational, physical therapy, speech therapy, a lot of these places you take, you know, kids or adults or whatever, a lot of them are harder to get into as well. And so I'm learning as we're making doctor appointments and things. I'll sit there and say, hey, just so you know, my daughter uses a wheelchair. Is your building accessible? Or if I want to, you know, be more specific, does your building have a ramp? And so, and that at least lets them know, you know, if they don't have a ramp, we're gonna need extra help getting up the stairs. Or if they do have a ramp, excuse me, we might need help, you know, getting over the lip of the doorway or whatever. And so we're making do. This video is kind of long, so I don't think I'll put it in this, but at some point I'll even talk about the accessibility of the malls if you want to know about that. It's just been kind of, one, it's interesting, but two, it's kind of fun to me to be like, to meet the challenge. Like, okay, can we go and find an accessible place? Can we go and find a place that's fun? For example, the place that we like to go to, the pool, has a ramp to get into the main building, but then to get to the pool, you have to go downstairs, and there's no ramp for that. And so I'm choosing to smile and laugh and maybe sometimes cry instead of being angry, because a lot of these buildings are older. A lot of these people are just, you know, working with what they have, and I understand that, and I want to respect that. But I also know that my daughter and so many others are worth so much more. And so if I can make a difference by encouraging different buildings and people to change things, then that's why I want to do. That's what I want to do, and that's why I've made this channel. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later. Bye. God bless.